Damn. Damn, boy. Damn, boy, he's thick. Boy, that's a thick-ass boy. Damn.
Bati-Bati Book Club.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, those who lie betwixt or outside, to yet another episode of the Bati-Bati Book Club. I'm your host, the Shiozaki Go of watching JoJo and going low on these hoes, Squill, as always, joined by Walk. How you doing, buddy?
Well. The Bati-Bati Book Club. Another example of humanity's descent into hedonism. And I'm doing good.
This episode had to be delayed slightly because I lost my voice. That was not. I sounded like I'd smoked for 60 years.
And we also sometimes we would just straight up forget.
Yeah.
We are human. We are fallible.
It's the creative process.
It's true. Sometimes you just forget to do the thing you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're here. We're gonna be talking about somebody. Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Yuji Hino, sort of keeping in the theme of giant, meaty Japanese dudes. Because he's something of a fascination of mine, because he might be the widest wrestler in Japan.
He's an insane-looking human being. Like, every picture I've seen of him kind of looks like an AI-generated, like, pro wrestler. Like, it's too bulky. It looks wrong.
Yeah, if you are not familiar with Yuji Hino, just go look up a picture of him. He's most known from his DDT and 0-1 runs, but he is like late stages of steroid gut bloat. He looks cool, but
he does look awesome. He resembles like John Zandig, like a more well-shaped Zandig, but similar levels of bloat.
Yeah, it's weird as well because he's trained by Taka Michinoku.
I mean, when I think of large, meaty dudes, I always think of Taka Michinoku.
Well, it's just interesting because the Kaientai dojo is really, really versatile.
Mm-hmm.
Because a bunch of cruiserweights, and then somehow they produced this freak of nature.
Have they produced any other big, freaky, big dudes?
Not that I can think of. It's mostly cruiserweights.
So, in my headcanon, Hino was found on like the doorstep of the dojo, and they just brought him in
with a steroid needle in his arm.
Yep, he was cursed from the start. Has Hino ever not looked like his like muscles were trying to Akira their way out of his skin?
Like when he first debuted, he looked pretty normal from the old pictures I can see.
Yeah.
But then it quickly got out of hand.
I don't think there's a single match on here where he doesn't look absurd.
Yeah.
Speaking of first matches we'll talk about, we're really rolling this episode. We're really going
I do
quick.
want to say one thing before we go on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his finisher.
Oh, yeah. So for the longest time, I referred to him by his finisher because I'm damned if I couldn't remember the shortest name in. It's called the fucking bomb. It is
the fucking bomb.
It's the fucking bomb. I mean, it sounds exactly as it is. It's an awesome bomb. But he just flips off the audience and just drops drops the person directly on their neck, and it's awesome.
And that's sort of what his character is. He's like sort of an aloof monster, which is a weird combination.
He's like a bratty teenager got the body of a BJW fat steroid dude.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic because he's like sort of quiet.
He's sort of quiet. He's not always like shouting, like your Yuka Okabayashis of the world, Yuji Okabayashis. He's just kind of like flipping you off, and he's shockingly smart. He understands his weaknesses very well, and he tries to like bait all of his opponents, which leads to a lot of his wins.
Yeah, I think we're gonna end up in a similar thing of what we're talking about. How way back in our Scott Hall episode, we talked about how in the Scott Hall Bret Hart match, Scott Hall comes off looking like a better wrestler than Bret solely
Yeah.
because he knows his limitations. And I
Yeah,
think
and
Hino is one of those wrestlers.
absolutely. Without falling into just being like a formula wrestler
Mm-hmm.
and being able to like work off of his opponents in interesting and unique ways.
So we start with DDT Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. Against one Kazusada Higuchi.
They're fucking ace.
He's pretty cool. He reminds me of a Prime Okada.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen much Gooch. I've seen this match, and I've seen his match against Shuji Ishikawa. Shuji Ishikawa video coming eventually. Much younger Kazusada Higuchi, where he does not have the awesome regal beard, and he had not gotten married yet. Where there's one picture of Kazusada Higuchi when he gets married, and it looks like he is kidnapping his wife.
Yes, I remember that picture.
Presumably, it was a consensual picture, but he is like the face of a stone cold killer. I think she's smiling in the picture. But still, he's a very handsome man, so I don't think he needed to try too hard.
I would hope not.
No.
But
Anyways,
this is for the KOD open weight title.
Pretty cool title.
Good looking belt, and quite honestly is one of the most prestigious world titles currently going in my eyes.
It's got like the most consistent history of good matches.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the last 2 years it's been like Gooch, Hino, Ueno, Shinya Aoki, Brooks. Like that's a solid ass lineage.
Yeah, and all the matches I can think of from that time period have been good.
But this match is very much a heavyweight main event, and we're talking heavyweight.
It's very heavyweight and also very petty and bitchy. Is the best way I can think of describing the spots, this like main overarching like story of the match, if you could describe it as that, is the constant bitchy chops. But before we get into that, I think this match has my favorite clean breaks, where I think it's Higuchi who does it first, where he runs Hino into the ropes and just does the loudest Okada clean breaks of all time, where he just slaps him on the chest.
Yeah.
And then Hino, of course, runs it back on him, and also very loud. Very, very petty. And then the chop battle begins. And it's awesome. I mean, the way they're able to sell the pain of each of the chops, the visual of the chops is insane. Like, there's going to be similar chop battles in other matches, but nobody really does it like this match.
Like the blood.
Yes.
Let's talk about the blood.
Yeah, they just start bleeding out of their chest. It's insane. Gooch is the one who gets the blood first.
And by the end, it's like, you need to go see this match. It is legitimately disgusting.
This match, I have a hard time describing. Like, because a majority of it is they just chop each other. But it's a really good match.
Because it's about the charisma of these two monsters.
Hino is a very charismatic beast. He's able to do a lot with just his face, which seems to be a theme of recent monsters. Is that they're able to like just look visually they just need looks more than they need like talking or anything like that.
Mhm.
Even though I'm pretty sure Hino's a pretty solid talker. He seems very charismatic even on the mic.
Yelling
watching-
fucking bomb is enough for me, brother.
Well, true, and also the backstage stuff. Where he just we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bitchy chop battle, where the first initial one is where they are both like doing like hands on hips just after the chops. They're just like, really? You want to try this? Because is Gooch known for his chops?
To some extent, yeah. I mean, he's just a brutal knockdown, drag out sort of wrestler, so that's heavy in there.
Yeah, it makes sense. They just chop the shit out of each other. Eventually, they go out to the outside, which causes a chop battle, almost like a crowd brawling chop battle. They just will not let up on these chops. It's insane. And after a certain point, like Higuchi absolutely is losing all of these chop battles.
It's something you said about how Hino baits his opponents in the chop battles.
It's like half of his gameplay is just, okay, we're going to start the chop battle. Awesome. I'm going to win this because I've min-maxed myself to be good at chop battles. Like
he's gotten his torso so big that no chop can phase him.
Yeah. He just he hits the tree stance is the way that I describe it, where he puts both of his hands behind his back and he's just like eats any chop and he just pops back up. Later on, he like pops out of like the most insane offense from like most insane chops. But eventually Gooch is able to reverse this by just shoot headbutting Hino in the head.
That's what he's known for.
Yeah. And that allows him to start doing really good Kobashi chops in the corner. Like, basically as good as Kobashi was at the machine gun chops.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking close.
He kind of reminds me of like a King's Road heavyweight. Very much
He's
so.
definitely very old school.
Yeah, maybe not. Like, he kind of reminds me of Tenryu Gucci. Like Jumbo or Tenryu.
So a little bit older version.
Yeah. Hino just starts doing some insane suplexes. A thing to note about how Hino does suplexes is that he does not require any help ever.
No.
He just picks you up and just shit cans you.
If you wondered what the powerlifter gut was for, that's what it's for.
That's what it's for. I mean, if it works, it works.
Also know there's a lot of good headlock work in these matches. It's a weird thing to say, but like he's so expressive that he makes like headlocks look cool.
He's a really good headlock guy somehow. It's pretty sweet. Big fan.
Like just tie-ups look so impactful when he does them.
There's the next match we have loaded up is kind of like the best example of that sort of stuff. So stay tuned, audience.
Absolutely.
Higuchi sets up the chop battle again. I think my favorite part about this match is Higuchi's ego getting in the way of like actual game plans. Because he thinks that if he tries hard enough, he'll be able to beat Hino at his own game. This is not true. This man has mastered the chop battle. You are going to lose.
That ace hubris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They chop each other to high hell. Then Higuchi does another headbutt, which manages to get it. Then another headbutt. A headbutt to the back.
Yeah, that's particularly like that's one of those things where it's like so unnecessary that it becomes like sort of gnarly and impressive all in the same sense.
And then Hino tries to headbutt him again. Like Hino tries to trade headbutts, but Higuchi's face just turns into like an Oni mask
Oh
with
yeah.
joy that he is trying to play in his domain. It is insane. And then he does a doctor bomb, which leads to a 2. He also requires no help when he does that doctor bomb.
Absolutely not.
It's fucking sweet. Higuchi G's up for his sumo push, but Hino just lariats him out of his boots. But then Higuchi pops up again for a lariat. Then Hino pops up for his own lariat. Then Higuchi counters a lariat with a chop. He like catches him mid lariat and just knocks him out of like midair almost.
He's
Uh,
brilliant at the cutoff.
and then they go back to the chop battle. It's insane how Higuchi just keeps like his brain just goes back to, dude, I need to win one of those chop battles, even to
He
his own
literally
detriment.
he
It is
literally
literally
thinks like I just see Red Bro and bodies hit the floor.
it's not working, bro. You are getting your ass beat in these. They are super good at selling how exhausting a chop battle should be.
Or just, how exhausted they actually are.
No, yeah, I'll give the artist some credit.
Yeah.
They shout out bleeding from the mouth. I know it. That's how I know a match is awesome. When they just start
Yeah.
like their
Because
chest.
that's the one kind of blood that's never like planned.
No, it's like Misawa bleeding from his ear.
Something's gone horribly wrong if someone's bleeding from the mouth.
Yes, and it's awesome. Hino has this like we're reaching the end of this match. Hino has this incredible face. By the tail end of the match, he I don't know how to describe it. If you watch back the match, you'll know the moment. He just has this like really sly smile when he realized that's all that Higuchi has in his gas tank, and has brought him to the brink. It's almost like Higuchi has fallen perfectly into the trap. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's something like I can't remember the quote of who was talking about this. It was some fighter, but he's saying you always assume that like bigger guys are like stupid or something, like because they can just rely on
Brute strength.
their brute strength. But what's fucking terrifying is when one of them is actually that smart and applies that. And that's sort of like I can only describe Yuji Hino as inevitable in this match because he knows exactly how he needs to play Higuchi, and he's basically guaranteed himself victory. Like it's
And
checkmate.
it's awesome. It's incredible. He's been able to outthink him by just having the better body.
Yeah. It's sort of
Um,
like in my Fry Takayama video where I said the fight was predetermined in some sort of Calvinist sense, where just like one guy
yeah.
had a crazy chin.
Absolutely. Shit's awesome. Then Hino picks up the Gooch for the fucking bomb and drops him on his neck. 3 count and new champ.
Yeah, he has hoisted his second KOD open weight title.
It's awesome. It's sweet. Really, really good match. Higuchi comes off as like the guy who definitely should have like Higuchi. It's completely his fault that he lost.
Yeah.
There's almost no doubt. Like if he had like pivoted at all, it was like completely his fault. He has the tools. He could have just stuck with headbutts or something, but he just chose not to because he thought he could beat Hino at his own game.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's great because it's like it's not exactly a morality tale, but
no,
it's somewhere in there of just it's weird to think that a chop battle is a strategy, but it
yeah,
absolutely is here.
yes. It's not. I think the word not a morality tale, but kind of a I had it. My brain. Not a morality tale, but kind of a... No. I had you. Words!
Words, come on, buddy.
I'm
You're almost
working on
there.
it. I had it. And... oh my god. Well, I'll get to it, maybe.
All right.
Good match. Wow, I completely blanked on the word I was looking for. That's embarrassing.
Before we leave this match, I just want to read off the opening battle royal of the show. I'd like to give a list of some of the wrestlers who were in that.
Awesome.
We got Dick Slater, Dope McIntyre.
Wait, I have it. I have what I was gonna say.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so it's like an inverse of how like most ace like title defenses go, where they kind of are able to out freak their opponent's strategy.
Yes.
But it's kind of treated like how that would go in reality, I guess, is how you could think about it.
Yeah, sticking to your game plan when your game plan is bad.
Yes, and it's awesome. Okay, go back to the battle royal.
Okay. These are just some highlights.
Okay.
Dick Slater, Dope McIntyre, Fat Kobashi, Fuck Takeda, Great Kokon, Great Gokon, Hen China, Macho Gallows, Self-Proclaimed Tiger Mask, and Thick and Hard Kankuro.
Are these guys all WWE ID'd?
I think so.
Oh, that's awesome. That's all the new copyright names.
Never change, Mr. Senshiro Takagi. Never change.
He's got a beautiful mind.
He really does.
The man who innovated the Anywhere match.
Years before it was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. With what's I think like the most easily the best one is the Dream. What the hell is that company called? The Dream Fight, the skyscraper match.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what that's called either.
The company.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Point is, pretty sweet. Big fan.
Now we move on to another legend of the indie meat circuit of Japan.
Only the best from the indie circuit. One Daisuke Sekimoto.
And this is where we really get to how fucking smart of a worker that Yuji Hino and Daisuke Sekimoto is. But Hino looks particularly brilliant here because Sekimoto, this is less of a Sekimoto match and more of a Hino match.
Yeah, this definitely feels like the apex of what Hino thinks of when he makes a match.
Yeah, and this is for the 0-1 World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
In Hurricane Hall.
You could trick me, it could be like a gym. It does not look like Hurricane. They're able to black it out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like 2 matches that are Hurricane in our watch?
I will fact check that later.
I think the Gooch match is a Hurricane. Doesn't matter. Yeah, this first note before we get to the match is Hino's entrance with the sword. Where
the first match was in Hurricane, you're correct.
Okay. I've watched too much wrestling. I can now recognize Hurricane just by the look of it. And I can recognize an Osaka crowd from a Tokyo crowd. The mind boggles. Mm-hmm. The mind shudders, if you will. Can you tell I haven't been recording myself recently? Folks at home? Anyways. Yeah, Hino does the sword thing and he cuts it and the streamers fly. I think that's pretty cool.
Not once does he use the sword during a match, though. He's restrained.
No, you know, that's a thing I like about Hino is that he doesn't cheat.
Yeah. His general presence is enough. He doesn't need to bring cheating into it.
That's why he kind of reminds me of if you combined a Meat Circus indie dude from Japan with Walter.
Yeah.
Where he kind of has a similar brain to Walter.
Yeah.
And how he wrestles.
Cheating doesn't really seem to he gets some joy out of the sport of it, aside from just being an asshole.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. I like that about Hino. And he definitely looks like a dude who would be cheating his ass off, right?
Yeah, he's coming with a sword. He's normally got bright dyed red hair.
Mm-hmm. That truly two villainous qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. My first note is that Sekimoto comes off as kind of a similar dance partner. There's
Yes.
no real like physical like difference between the two. They're basically built the same.
Yeah,
So
Sekimoto is just more defined and less like bloat.
yeah. So it kind of comes off as like they're able to just out muscle each other whenever like offense gets posed against each other. This match feels like watching a tug of rope where like at some points maybe Hino is able to get Sekimoto. Oh, it's weird. Sekimoto is able to deal with the chop battles the best.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Uh,
that's the strong BJ, like ethic.
yeah, being able to absorb an absurd amount of offense and dish it out yourself.
And man, like I am immediately like I have the opening tie up playing here for me. Like that, it shouldn't be as riveting as I find it, just because they're so charismatic that like the tie ups, the folks will have to watch this for themselves and see whether it holds up. But
Yeah.
like he also does the the clean break thing comes off the tie up. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
moi. It's just as Joseph once said, some pro wrestling ass pro wrestling.
Indubitably. Hino, it's weird. Hino does a lot of like little amounts of chain wrestling, which
Mm-hmm.
is not what you expect. Hino is like an inverse of everything that you think he is. Aside from like the fucking bomb and the like being able to do a million chops.
Yeah.
I here's a note I have just in general of those matches. I like how he when somebody is like crumbled to his chops, he does like a back of the neck chop,
Oh yeah.
redneck style. I'm not sure if in school you had to deal with the rednecking crisis, where kids would like Assassin's Creed dive
Oh, I
and
know what you're talking
chop
about.
the back of your neck.
Yeah, no. I
Yeah,
think that might be universal.
that shit is asshole as fuck. If you actually, I did do it.
The hidden blade, brother.
Yeah, I just would hit him blade. I got in trouble one time.
Well, on the bright
Doing
side, if
that.
it's young enough kids, like it's impossible for kids to hurt other kids. There's no weight behind any of it.
Absolutely, it's just middle school style, right?
There's like a weapon involved, it's nearly impossible.
Unless it's like a really fat kid. He's like
Yeah.
Walter. He just walks in, he slaps the back of your neck. You just become paralyzed. Ta-da! Ba, 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 ba. He comes in eating a big ass
I think
sandwich.
I've commented to this before, but the 01 logo that's in the same font as Nerf from Ava, right?
Yeah,
I'm
it
not crazy.
absolutely is. No,
Okay.
you're not crazy. That is exactly what that is. In fact, I will pull it up just to.
Does that font have a name?
I bet it does. Hang on, let me look up Nerve font Ava. Let's see. Um,
These are the important questions.
these are the important questions on our pro wrestling podcast.
Matisse EB by Fontworks.
Matisse EB, my favorite. Anyhow, let's see. Yeah, the beginning part of this match is just them locking up, and it's awesome because they're both just two big bastards. So it looks like they are just trying to out muscle each other. It's very cool.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that Hino comes off as like the smaller guy somehow.
Yeah. I think it's just
Um,
because Sekimoto is like he's a god of the Japanese indies.
Sekimoto is the like alpha and omega of the big bastard ever. Like he is the biggest dude in the ring, even when he is the shortest guy in the ring.
Yeah, he
He's just
just
the widest. Truly a freak of nature. Big Sekimoto fan. We at some point we might do a podcast on Sekimoto.
might have to.
There's not a lot to talk about when it comes. That's kind of the issue
Yeah.
with Sekimoto and Strong BJ in general.
hmm
Is that their matches are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It is them going yeah and smashing into like each other like that's mostly Okabayashi
Yeah.
doing what I could only describe as demo derby spots.
There might be a reason he's banged up.
There might enjoy being a father, Mr. Okabayashi. I hope your knees recover well.
They're not going to.
Oh man. I thought that's what parenting does. It made you feel better.
Yeah, famously, no stress.
No known weaknesses parenting.
And this is after like the initial lockup in the chain wrestling you're talking about. This is
Mhm.
where like the headlock like just keeps like it's a gift that keeps on giving here.
They
Because a
got
few
their shit
times like Sekimoto tries to go for like an arm wringer, and then like a cheeky asshole Hino reverses it back into the headlock and then does the takeover.
Yeah. There's even a part where the Irish whip, like they
Yes.
just stop and they just start pulling each other and shouting. It's pretty cool. I've
Yeah.
never seen an Irish whip sequence look like that. Irish
And-
whips
and-
are typically just transitions to do another spot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool to have an Irish whip be the spot.
And that's really where the match starts to break down because you get like a few times that whenever they're like resetting, they do the sumo bit of getting into opposite corners.
This match feels long. Right? I like this match, but it does feel long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like I think lethargic is the word you used to describe it, and I think that's apt. Not that it's bad. It's a match I recommend, in fact.
Yeah.
It's just you're going to I hope you have Subway Surfers playing because you might get a little bored. But you should
Well,
turn it
it's
up.
one of those matches where I feel like I should be bored, but I'm not, and I
No,
can't explain
for sure. Because the performers are charismatic enough to where it can kind of carry the slowness,
it. Mm-hmm.
which I
And
think
what really starts to carry it for me is like about like a third of the way through the runtime, Hino fully starts doing like his hands behind the back thing and really start once again drawing Sekimoto into his world.
his chop trap.
Yeah. Which is
I
weird
think-
that Sekimoto would get the worst of that, but he's just not Hino.
Hino is built for this shit. He is literally like formed in the world of chop battles. It's incredible.
Even like within kayfabe, you could think about the fact that he's more bloated means he has like more meat to absorb the chops.
Absolutely, that makes sense to me, brother. But there is a sick backbreaker from the corner where Sekimoto just picks him up and hits him with a backbreaker. I think it was like no, it was not the pump handle one. There was a pump
No,
handle.
regular backbreaker.
Yeah. And then a no help torture rack, which looks like death for your knees.
Oh yeah, these guys can just heft each other up, no problem.
It's insane. And then I think it's Hino who hits him with an atomic drop.
Correct.
All right. Hey, whatever, guys. I note here they do so much with so little, and it is a great way of describing this match.
Yeah.
Then.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna go to another move. So
Yes.
if you
do
had
it.
something, okay. Vertical suplex to a massive pop. It was truly a 1970s pop for a vertical suplex.
It really was.
Then Sekimoto does the strong BJ mega jump, also known as the bullfrog splash.
Oh wait, did you miss how they reversed the torture rack? Because it's fucking amazing.
No, I did miss that.
Hino grabs a headlock from the top of the torture rack and just wrenches on Sekimoto's neck and then pulls him back into the headlock.
That's
It's
pretty
so
funny.
fucking dickish. It's beautiful.
I think Sekimoto just like starts shouting through it because he's really pissed off that he got caught in another headlock.
Oh yeah.
Which is very real. As a person that is doing BJJ, I can't believe I've become this guy.
Mhm.
As a guy who does BJJ, I have been caught in stuff like repeatedly, and I just get angry that it
Yeah.
keeps happening to me.
Not necessarily at the person who's doing it, but just
No,
at
but
yourself.
at yourself for the most part that you've fallen for this shit like twice.
Yes.
Yeah, but the strong BJ mega jump. Um, let- Sekimoto is able to hit a fucking bomb
Yes, he
on
is.
Hino, which is pretty nuts. That he is also able to just gut wrench up this fat bastard.
There's no help on anything in this match.
No, it happens like in a later match as well, where they just hoist each other up.
And they
It's
really don't
absurd.
need to.
No, to help your friends. That's why um what's his name? The peacock guy. Dalton
Peacock guy, Dalton
Castle.
Castle.
That's why Dalton Castle's back is so fucked up. You gotta
Yeah.
help your friends. Come on now. That's like half of his moves are deadlifts. And it's fucked him up. Help your friends. Is what
That's
I'm
why
asking
Miro
all
said he
players.
literally doesn't deadlift anymore because he doesn't want to fuck up his knees.
Absolutely. And if the goat is telling you do not do deadlifts, I mean, I'm just
I think
saying.
it's just if you get to a certain level of like
Strength.
muscle, there's other things you could do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's see here. German suplex. I love German suplexes with these these big meaty dudes. They have the best German suplexes, mostly because they're deadlifting each other. And
Yeah.
I think Daisuke Sekimoto, one of his finishers, is a stalling German suplex where he just like picks you up for a little bit and then does a bridge.
Yes.
Insane that is a finisher.
And so the climactic part of the match that like truly like this would be the part that really gets you like popped is when these freaks start climbing up the turnbuckle.
Yeah. I forget. I don't think Hino is able to hit anything when they scamper up the turnbuckle. But Daisuke Sekimoto, you think he's going to do a German suplex off the top rope, which is nuts.
Yeah.
But he just grips him up in the corner, does the stalling German suplex into a bridge, and it's awesome. Pretty sweet. They also just start beating the piss out of each other in the corner. Just a
Sekimoto
great
also
story.
chains that into a frog splash.
He does? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
He
then
does the
Hino hits
bullfrog
a
splash.
frog splash.
He does. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the ugliest looking frog splashes I've ever seen. By which
Neither of
like
them.
it's great form by Hino, but like just how it must have felt to have taken that.
Absolutely. Taking a bullfrog splash is probably sucks all the ass. If Eddie Guerrero sucks to take a regular frog splash, I do not want like 250 pounds landing directly on my chest.
No, I do not.
No, that's not even good. Good match. I note slow but fun, and I think that is the best way of describing it.
Yeah, there's some really the finish I enjoy. There's a lot of like insanely petty stuff that comes at the end. Or like at one point, Hino's literally grabbing at the ankles of Sekimoto
Mm-hmm.
in the finishing stretch, and he like kind of collects to like a low single, then a body lock that leads to a German
Yeah,
suplex.
yeah,
And
that's pretty cool.
it's like the way I can describe this match is like physical strain. That's them pulling on the Irish
Mm-hmm.
whip. That's them literally just like pulling each other, doing sort of sumo
Mm-hmm.
type moves. It's like you feel the weight of this
Yeah,
match more so than almost any match I've seen.
absolutely. It's the heaviest match in the world.
Yeah, you feel how big these guys are.
Absolutely, and ultimately, that's what I look for in my heavyweights. I
Yeah, and
like me.
it's like there are guys who are this powerful that can't give this kind of sense in a match because they're just
Mhm.
not that they're doing anything wrong, but they're just not doing the same thing.
No, um, it sometimes leads to the match feeling slower, I think, is why a lot of dudes don't do matches like this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still cool, and I quite enjoy this one.
And Hino does win, and he picks up the 0-1 title.
Does Hino win this one? Am I smoking crack? I thought
Yes.
it was Sakamoto. Okay, all right,
No,
whatever.
Hino wins.
Okay, with the German suplex. That was correct.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
We now go from we start at the beginning of his KOD openweight title reign, and now we go to the end with Hino versus Chris Brooks.
Before we get to the match, I want to note the Omega shirt.
Yes.
Not the Omega shirt you're thinking of. I'm thinking of the other Omega shirt with chibi little Hino giving the bird. It's very
Yes.
cute.
He likes this shirt.
He really likes his shirts, and I respect that.
In the same way Jake Hager liked that hat.
True. In fact, Yuji Hino just decides I will wear it is my ring gear. I will wear a t-shirt with the sleeves cut off.
Because he's worn it before to the ring, but he has just decided that he would like to keep it on the entire time.
I respect a worker that is willing to plug their merch. I respect this fact. Let's see. Chris Brooks during this match, his main game plan, I should say, is stick and move with Hino. He doesn't often fall into the trap. Oftentimes when he does go into the chop battle trap, he will find a creative way of escaping it.
Mm-hmm.
The main one that comes to mind is Chris Brooks when he gets into a chop battle. He sets up for a chop and then just punches Hino directly in his knees.
Mm-hmm.
Which
and Chris Brooks is a wrestler I sometimes have problems with because he falls into what I call fruity catch wrestling sometimes when the reversals feel too like weightless and like they get them too easy, but they're doing like cartwheels and shit.
Yeah,
that's fine in moderation.
Yeah, I kind of felt that he had a similar brain to ZSJ.
Yeah, very much true.
Yeah. I haven't seen much Chris Brooks.
He's pretty good.
I'm sure he is. I've heard good things. I just haven't watched much of him. He's just visually he's not a wrestler I'm very interested in.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyhow, Chris Brooks, not Chris Hero. Very different.
Slight difference.
Well, yeah, they both do fruity catch wrestling though.
That's true.
You hear that, Hero? Anyways, Chris Brooks takes off the Hino shirt, which in most territories would be a heel move, but he is the good guy. And then punches him. He starts going to the chop, punches him straight in the knee. Hino's headlock looks especially crazy in this one because it looks like he's crushing Chris Brooks' poor windpipe, his shitty little neck. Hino eventually it gets reversed out of the headlock. Hino waddles over to his corner. In his corner, puts back on his shirt.
Lovely. He likes that shirt.
He likes that shirt. I know Lamau shoving a knee in Brooks's face to get a picture in the corner is pretty sweet. I like that heel move.
This is why ripping off the shirt is a face move. Because you are just like, this guy's just a bastard.
He is just burying his big ass knee into Chris Brooks's face and talking to the camera. It helps to have English commentary on. DDT has a fairly good English commentary team.
Certainly better than New Japan's.
Yes, I would say it's similar to like Deadlock's quality than it is to like GCW.
Yeah.
Or New Japan's. Or especially Noah. Noah has the worst English commentary team.
I have some thoughts on the GCW commentary in regards to Bloodsport, but now is not that time.
It is not the time. Maybe
come on, Josh, put me in.
Maybe when we get famous pro wrestler Royce Isaacs onto the podcast, we can air our grievances. Or maybe not, brother.
Just to him.
Just to him. I'm sure he has
Royce.
A lot of sway. Or we could get Josh Barnett on the podcast. I'm sure he's a very not busy man.
Yeah, no way.
No. Anyways, Hino has an incredible big boy fuck you senton.
Yes.
Hino's like after the big boy senton, Chris rolls to the outside and Hino starts sarcastically cheering for him.
Yeah, it's so dickish.
He's so good at being a dickhead. He's so good at that shit. Especially with like true blue baby faces. Higuchi is like a tweener, from what I can tell, in his
Yeah.
current form. I've seen a younger version of him where he very much is a good guy. But going up against like a true blue babyface is where Hino shines.
Mm-hmm.
Hino getting chopped by Chris and audibly saying "seriously" is pretty funny. Hino starts giving Chris tips during the chop battle, where he just goes, "Dude, do kicks. You're better at kicks than me." And Chris actually follows it. And
he walks the line behind like the line between actual psychological warfare and like actually just giving them advice.
Yeah, that's what's great about this match is that Hino loses it because he gives too much advice.
Well, it's that literally Brooks does not walk into the trap that we've been talking about previously.
Yeah, it's really good. Chris is able to outsmart Hino somehow at his own game.
Yeah.
By tricking him into falling into the game. It's pretty cool.
Because Hino just tells you what he's going to do, and then like you get so caught up in the match that you forget that that's what he's
doing.
What he's there doing. Yeah.
Hino kind of the best. Actually, I have a pretty good analogy. It's to video games, sadly. It's Punch-Out. This feels like a Punch-Out-esque match where the big bad evil guy is just telegraphing his weaknesses. Yeah. And Chris is just following along with the telegraphs. It's pretty cool.
Oh, it is worth noting, by the way, that the title was presented by Kenta Kobashi.
It was. I did notice that. I wasn't 100% sure. He didn't do the smile, which is why it did not completely tip me off. But he was wearing an orange tie, and the only man that can wear orange and Puro is Kenta Kobashi.
Sakuraba. Those are the only two.
Well, he wears his rash guards.
Kobashi, by the way, still looks massive. He does do the smile at the end, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Kobashi is like, it looks comical with him not as an active wrestler walking around because he like still dwarfs like a bunch of other wrestlers there.
He mugs a lot of people. I don't know what his old man routine is, but I need to get on that. Apparently, it'd be really. Do we have any footage of him like working out?
No, because Baba thought it was gay
to do weight training. Well, I mean, do you think Baba ever did like weight training?
Oh, Baba didn't. Kobashi might.
Kobashi absolutely did weight training.
Done something.
I don't know how you get that body without weight training.
Yeah.
And do you think Kenta Kobashi was doing steroids? I don't think maybe.
No.
It doesn't seem like kind of thing.
He has I can only describe like that those Kings Road bodies is too weird to be a product of steroids.
Yeah. The weirdest body being, of course, Akira Taue.
Yeah.
Well, that's just because
it's
tall.
It's like the
Misawa's
big chest.
Just fat. Takada is just like lumpy. Not Takada. Kawada.
Because like Kobashi has like the big chest. His legs aren't very defined. It's just like it's weird body.
Just very weird body. Jun Akiyama also looks a little funky. He's like the most conventional looking.
Oh yeah, when he was younger, he was pretty jacked.
Yeah. Probably because he was doing weight training.
Yeah, because he was an amateur wrestler.
Yeah, a freak. And then Baba told him, "You do too many weight lifts. I will not have you be booked well."
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow.
By the way, speaking of gay, Chris Brooks is wearing eyeshadow throughout this whole match.
He is. That's a crazy transition. Yeah. Cool. I don't know. Oh, Chris Brooks does give a hug to his tag partner? Question mark?
Yeah, the Calamari Drunken Kings.
Yeah, I watched DDT. Suicida to missile dropkick is pretty cool. Then a Meteora arm style is pretty
Yeah.
funny. Not
Pretty
that he
fucking
was
sick.
using his arms as a Meteora, but he was doing a Meteora on the arm.
Yes.
Hino powers out of Chris's finisher into a lariat to belly suplex, which is pretty sweet. Then Hino comes off as an arrogant asshole. We've already talked about that, but I had noted it here. Hino tries to outmuscle Chris this entire match. And but every time he gets cute, as I noted, Chris has some sort of answer to it, like the abdominal stretch counters, or being able to get out of the King Kong submission, which won him the last match, into an armbar, which is pretty cool. But that armbar eventually fails him because it turns into a rampage bomb, which is pretty sweet.
Does.
Then a lariat to a 2. Chris Brooks hits a sweet knee strike. Then Hino hits like a momentum power bomb, which is pretty cool. Then a tiger suplex off the top. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. A pile driver to a 2. A double knee for a 2. Hino eventually just gets up after all of this damage. Which is pretty cool. He has like this shit-eating grin he had, kind of similar to Gooch's match against him. Leading to a big boy lariat. But Hino just goes into his bag for some reason.
Yeah.
And tries to go for a chop battle, but Chris just does his finisher. It feels very cathartic to see that game plan just fail him.
And it's worth noting both how good the arm work is from Brooks and how well Hino communicates the damage.
Absolutely.
Because all of his attacks require him to lift him somehow.
Yeah. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, because like all of like the armbar attempts and the arm ringers and literally just doing like a knee strike to the arm, all that adds up when he tries to attempt fucking bombs later in the match.
Absolutely. And it's awesome. Big fan. And yeah, Chris Brooks is able to win the belt back. And the way that I describe it is that it's like watching Anderson Silva get his shit rocked after doing the behind the arms gimmick. It feels nice. It feels deserved.
Yeah. It definitely feels like someone, we finally have someone pure enough to not fall into Hino's trap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And good match. Good, very different match.
Yeah.
From the other two.
This is a full babyface and a full small guy.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Big fan. Next up.
It's sort of unorthodox. We're not going to spend as much time on it because it's a tag match, which is a first for this podcast. But what's important about it is what Hino does in the match. And that's what I want to focus on.
I'm going to throw in a couple. Yeah. BJW.
Daisuke Sekimoto and Volter versus Yuji Hino and Yuji Okobayashi.
Speak of the devil, and he shall arrive.
It's the biggest bastards they could find.
I will do a couple notes on the match in general, because there's a lot of cool stuff. But Hino gets his shit in. During this match.
And it's impressive how he is like I would guess like the lowest, well, also like the lowest build person here.
Yeah.
Walter's younger. But like you know what I'm saying? Like strong BJ. Strong BJ are BJW.
Yeah.
And Volter's Volter. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, but there was a lot of energy for Hino during this.
That's fair.
The crowd was popping crazy for him. They were very excited for him.
And it's amazing how he walks down Walter.
Yes. Somehow Hino is able to outchop Walter.
Yeah, which proves he is the true undisputed king of the chop, at least in modern wrestling.
He definitely has an insane. He has a really good chop. We didn't really talk about it. Obviously,
Yeah.
if you're going to be the king of the chop battle, you're going to have a good chop. But his sounds like it hits the soul.
Yeah.
You definitely hear it in the Gooch match. The thing I didn't note is the sound design on the DDT Gooch match. It was very good. It sounded very weighty, very meaty, very good, very evil. Just Hino just hits your soul. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I'm big.
And when you hit him back, there's no way it's gonna land as hard.
No. Somehow even Walters does not hit as hard.
No.
I kind of know somehow there's chain wrestling in this match.
Not much, but yeah.
At the start, Okabayashi in my head is kind of like a cracked up version of Sekimoto.
Yeah.
Where he's a little faster and he does more, question mark.
Well, yeah, he's sort of like how Mark Briscoe is Jay Briscoe with mange. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Like he's just like Daisuke Sekimoto, but with rabies.
Yes, he does the scream and he runs around a lot. The strong BJ eventually just starts doing shoulder bashes into each other like two angry rams.
Oh yeah.
Hino activates chop battle mode with Sekimoto, and he's winning.
Yeah, he wins the chop battles against everyone.
Very handily. Sekimoto and Okabayashi start punching the shit out of each other in the chest. Nobody does it like them when it comes to
really
the punch chops things. They're somehow great punchers because they don't target the face.
Yeah.
They just batter the shit out of your chest. Okabayashi has a unique sponge gar where he kind of hits a crab taunt.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And just brutally punches Sekimoto to the outside and hits Walter. And Walter, I fucking love how this dude treats tag team matches, where if you touch him, he just starts beating the shit out of you.
That's one of the reasons why I love Ring Cop so much.
He gets very indignant.
Yeah.
Like, you would touch me? And at one point, he gets so angry, he just starts gamer raging and runs over to the crowd and just picks up a chair and tosses it into the ground. Very angry the rules have been broken.
Disgusting.
Makes me sick.
And also, I want to say, Hino has the most personality out of anyone here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Okabayashi's a pretty big personality.
Oh yeah, he is like I said, he has rabies. But yeah.
Yeah. But Hino definitely has a lot of character.
It's just wild watching him mog these guys.
It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
How early into his career was he? He was.
I mean, this is 2019.
Gotta be a while. 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he's in his
reasonable.
mid-30s. Like he's
sure.
He's always been a weird nomad because like he starts in DDT, goes and does Wrestle 1 for a while. Sure. And kind of bounces between 0-1 and DDT since then.
That's Dakota Ibushi tech.
Yeah, so he's always been like
Ibushi tech, if you will.
He'll step in and be the top guy for an indie, but like DDT is the biggest profile he's ever been.
Absolutely. Fuck you, Big Boy Senton. There's a neck crank from hell, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that one sucked.
There's an exploder on Sekimoto. Okabayashi versus Walter is incredible, where they just both come at each other with incredible piss and vinegar. Just a bunch of chops and punches and just throwing moves at each other. It's very strange.
There's
coming
a
off
profound
of,
sense of joy in this match.
they're just having
Like
fun.
all the performers are like pissed, but like they're kind of reveling in it.
Yeah, they're having a good time. Walter never seems like he's having a particularly. He's having fun.
Yeah.
They do the strong BJ double suplex spot, but it's Walter and Sekimoto.
Yeah,
You would
it
never think
rules.
Walter would engage in something like that,
Mhm.
but he just finds it funny and it works. So
Yeah,
he
he's here to
doesn't
have
mind.
fun.
Yeah, he's a. This is his last match before going to the Fed, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just having a good time before he has to clock in for work.
Hmm.
Sekimoto hits a crazy brain buster. Walter hits a crazy German on Hino. To a crazy good double down. Then there's a pump handle backbreaker to a sharpshooter, which is pretty sweet. I don't know why you did the pump handle, but it's pretty cool. Walter just starts beating the piss out of Hino. Actually, how Hino gets out of the chop battle with Walter, not even get out of it, how Walter gets out of the chop battle with Hino
Hmm.
it's weird hearing that in inverse. Walter just kicks him in the face
Yeah.
just to get it over with. I like Walter a lot. He's very smart. He has a very direct and blunt route to getting past somebody's like game plan. It's very cool.
He's the ring general.
He is their ring general. Insane Enzingiri from Sekimoto into a German suplex. Then there's a lariat for a 2. Then a stalling bridging suplex, which always looks good, and a finish.
And
Yeah.
I used to say, like, the reason I thought this reflected on Hino is how much of this he dominates with
He
his
does.
charisma.
He is the biggest personality in the ring aside from the guy who's on meth.
Yeah.
He does a great job of just coming off as his own Hino self, just kind of a dick.
Yeah, but a big deal.
A big deal dick. And if that isn't pro wrestling, I don't know what is.
Do you have any closing thoughts on Yuji Hino, just in general?
Yuji Hino, I was expecting a very different wrestler before learning about him. The way I learned about him is you sent me a gif of the fucking bomb.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's hilarious. And I was kind of expecting Hino to just be like a freak that just kind of dumped people on their heads with various moves.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen as much as I thought. In fact, he was a very conservative performer, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, he's like kind of brilliant.
He's smart. He knows smart. He's a smart wrestler. I was not expecting intelligence from a guy whose shtick is flipping people off and saying fuck.
Yeah, and like putting it on his shorts.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't expect it. But yeah, for great matches. Definitely recommend the boy. Yeah.
All right. Unless you have anything else, then I think we are out.
I am really excited to play with my toys after this. I have a big red dump truck and a big green hammer and a giant horse named Daryl. And